I thought it might be fun to teach my wife how to ride a dirt bike, so I picked up this 2002 XR100 motorcycle. I paid $300 for it, and it had been neglected for a couple of years. It was not in running condition. So I went through the carburetor and did a little bit of diagnostic work on it and got it running very well now. In fact, here's a video of the procedure of getting it back in operating condition. So now that it runs, it's definitely rideable, and I can teach her how to ride. But unfortunately, she's not going to be able to take up the sport of motorcycling anytime really soon, because in an unrelated manner, she has been diagnosed with a condition. See, unfortunately, my wife has, or had, a bunion. Now, I'm not talking about Paul Bunyan, the famous lumberjack with the blue ox named Babe, and I'm not talking about Binion's gambling hall in Las Vegas where they held the World Series of Poker. No, I'm talking about a condition of the foot, hallux valgus. It's a lateral deviation of the big toe. You've probably seen a woman with a bunion before. It's a big bump on the side here, and the big toe goes that way. So she had the surgery yesterday. She's recuperating nicely, and what this means is she's not going to be riding the motorcycle anytime soon. So this gives me a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do, kind of as a tribute to her, is kind of get this thing shined up really nicely. So I'm not going to do a full restoration or anything like that because it's a dirt bike. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I don't want to make it perfect. I just want to shine it up a little bit. So the main things that need to be addressed are this seat. I want to clean up the seat. It has a lot of black spray paint on here. The previous owner really liked black spray paint. They sprayed the seat. They sprayed this front fender. You can see overspray here, some brown paint. So I'm going to clean up this fender, clean up the seat, kind of polish up the wheels, and just give it a quick once over to really make it something she can be proud to learn on. Looks like we have some duct tape remnants here. So let's get started. I'll begin by trying to tidy up this seat a little bit. It has a really nice design. It's two-tone. It has black on the top and red down here on the sides. And for some reason, somebody decided that spray painting it was a great idea. And to remove some of this spray paint, I tried a few different methods, and I needed to find something that would dissolve the paint without really harming the seat cover material. I haven't found anything that works perfectly. The closest I could come to finding something that would work is using some lacquer thinner on a cloth and just very lightly rubbing the seat. I've worked on this side a little bit, and I've gotten down to the red, but I can't really get down into these little seams. I'm not really worried about it though. I mainly just want to get some of that color back. As the bike's ridden, it'll probably wear off the rest of the way, but this will just give it a good jump start on looking good again. I don't want to use too much lacquer thinner on it either because I'm not sure how good that lacquer thinner is to the seat cover material. It can dissolve a lot of stuff. It's pretty powerful stuff. It will dissolve rubber. It might do damage to plastics, so I want to keep this seat cover as free of solvents as possible. I'll just do a little spot here. I've got some lacquer thinner on my cloth, and if I just rub it really lightly, it brings back that color, and hopefully it won't totally liquefy my seat cover in the process. So it definitely is much better, but still you can see the paint in these little narrow passageways down in there that I can't really get to, and I don't want to completely drench this seat cover in lacquer thinner just to get those spots. So I'll just go over the whole seat cover and get it to a finish like this, and I think that will be respectable looking. I finished wiping down the seat just quickly with the lacquer thinner, and I can definitely tell a difference. You can see a big difference on this side, and this side looks pretty good too. And it definitely doesn't look new, but it looks like something I'd be proud to ride. Now that the seat is done, I'm going to work on the plastic body panels, the side number plates here, the rear fender, and the front fender. On the fender here, I need to take off all this old black spray paint and then polish the plastic underneath. The same is true with these number plates. It's hard to tell, but there's a very thick layer of white paint on the plastic, and I want to take it back down to the white plastic and polish that out so it was the same as it was from the factory. To take off the paint, I'm going to use a blade and just very slowly take it off. This is very similar to my other video about restoring faded plastic fenders. You can see that right here. So I won't bore you with all the details. I'll just go over the fender and the side panels with my blade and report to you when that's finished. I'm still working on this front fender, and I was able to use the blade to scrape off the paint on these outer curved surfaces, but on the concave surfaces it's tough to get the blade in there without scratching anything. So what I'm doing here is I've got some soapy water and some 180 grit sandpaper, and that works to remove the paint from these inner surfaces. The disadvantage of this is it won't leave the plastic as smooth as the blade. I'll have to do something else to make it smooth again, but at least it gets the paint out. So that's what it looks like after the sandpaper. Kind of rough, but getting better. It took me all morning pretty much, but I finally got the black paint off of this front fender, and I scraped it down nicely with a razor blade, and in these areas I used a little bit of fine grit sandpaper to smooth it all out. And now, to bring out a little more shine, I'm going to give it the torch treatment. And I should add that if you have to remove paint from a fender and you think the plastic might still be good underneath, it's probably better to use something that will just loosen up the paint rather than these abrasive methods. But in this case, I knew that the fender had a lot of scratches and stuff underneath the paint, so I just dove right in with the sandpaper and blade. Well, the sun is going down, and I had hoped that I'd get the bike put back together and running today, looking beautiful, but unfortunately I was overly optimistic. I did get both side panels cleaned up really nicely, along with the seat that you saw me working on earlier, and also the front fender looks much better than it did before. So tomorrow I'll just work on the rear fender, and then we'll go to work on polishing up the engine, and I'm thinking about repainting the exhaust pipe too. I noticed in the shop today I had some black stove paint from an earlier project which will do nicely on that exhaust pipe. So we'll resume this project in the morning. Thanks for watching.